La da da da. Oh yeah, hey. Boom, hi, I'm Thundercloud. Here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, wash away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Everyone knows Mum calls me James. Let's have some fun and linguistic games on this Chillin Tuesday. Hey, guess what? We were away last week. Well, there was no Chillin Tuesday last week on the 2nd of August because Sky and I went down to Armidale to the Armidale Poets. So big shout out there to all the Armidale poets that we saw. And if you're in Armidale, 7 o'clock, 7:30, every first Tuesday of the month at the Grand Hotel, check out the Armidale Poets. All right, well, Chillin Tuesday on the 8th of the 8th, 2023 on Thundercloud. We're looking at around about 13 degrees out there tomorrow. And the temperature currently, it's Gaia, it's always cold. Anyway, it's winter too. Right, what's been happening here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame? Well, we've got coming up next week, on Wednesday, or Tuesday and Wednesday, the Australian Poetry Slam Workshop, and on the Tuesday, and the Australian Poetry Slam Heat, Gaira Heat. So get your Gairaness, get your pen out, get your slam on, and get up here for next week for the Poetry Slam event. Yes. And also, I've been organising the Gaira Trout Fest Poets Breakfast and Youth Poetry Competition, and those forms are available on the website australianpoetryhalloffame.com.au to download now, as are the forms for the New South Wales Bush Poetry Performance Championship and Written Championship. Yes, in November. You can download them from the Australian Bush Poets Association website, abpa.org, or from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, the downloads page. So check those out. If you've got poems you'd like to submit, they're submittable as of this very minute. Okay, now we'll begin with a little bit of poetry first to get the show on the road. As soon as I acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which I'm broadcasting, the Kamilaroi and the Banbai people, to acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of the elders past and present, and acknowledge sovereignty's never been ceded and a treaty is called upon. Rightio. So let's start with a little quick one that I wrote 4 hours ago, well, maybe a bit longer. The sea. It's wet, wild, calm and free, nature's elder, also child, the source of life, the sea. And that's it. Yeah, and that's it. It's a really quick one. It's a little short. Rightio. And what else have I got for you here? All right, here we go. I haven't really got a name for this, Australian Tenacity, maybe, something like that. It was written a couple of days ago. In the heart of the southern land, where wild and free they stand, a spirit bold, both young and old, shaped by the rugged hand. Australia's tenacity, a tale of history, for in its vast expanse they danced with destiny. A harsh and trying climate, they faced with fortitude the early settlers, brave and bold, a tenacious attitude. To thrive upon this foreign shore, resilience they'd employ, and in the face of hardship, fears, they found their will to buoy. The Australian bush, a realm of extremes where nature's force they'd test, with summers hot and winters cold, their courage they'd invest. Unforgiving, yet alluring, a land of freedom rare, with daring hearts and souls aflame, they ventured far and near. In sporting fields a spirit fierce, a love for games they'd show, Aussies known for grit and might, in victories and woe. Not shying from the challenge, they'd rise to seize the day, from cricket's ashes glory to yachts in grand display. To have a go in life they strive, with dreams and hopes ablaze, embracing futures as they come, through trial and error's haze. a melting pot of talents from near and distant lands. Together they united stand with hearts and open hands. Their national pride a beacon bright, a bond that runs so deep. Through struggles faced and triumphs won, a legacy they'll keep. In every corner of the land, from shore to sunburnt plain, this tenacity, a lasting flame, and anthem's proud refrain. Immigrants from lands afar, a tapestry they'd weave, a diverse strength that intertwines the nation to achieve. Egalitarian ethos where opportunity shines, a platform for the bold at heart, a chance for dreams to climb. With tenacity and having a go, they've built the nation grand. From challenges they've learned and grown as one united band. So raise a cheer for Aussie hearts, for in their spirits glow, they've forged a path, a legacy, a story yet to show. In history's annals they'll stand tall with courage as their guide. With tenacity and willingness they'll meet the world's high tide. For Aussie spirit strong and true, a powerful force to know. For in their hearts a fire burns, forever they will grow. Something like that, yeah. Anyway, so that's that's one I've written, a bit of bush poetry about Australia. All right. Well, today in the mail, the Australian Bush Poetry Association, Australian Bush Poets Association, Volume 24, Number 4, August, September 2023 issue came out. Yes, they've been publishing this for 29 years now. Now, I'm not going to read much to you out of this because it's the poetry in there is probably under copyright. However, on the back here, what do we got? What do we got? We got the lot. Yes, the New South Wales Bush Poetry Championships. The 19th of November here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Guyra. So entry forms are now available on the website australianpoetryhallofFame.com.au and from the Australian Bush Poets Association. Alright, but first things first, I am going to read to you the what's on the regular events of the Bush Poetry, which I did have open a moment ago, and I've totally just buggered it up and lost the page I was on. Here we go, regular monthly events. Right, so if you're in New South Wales, well, let's start with, you can currently enter the Lambing Flat Federation of Australia's Writers Competition, so check that out too. Google that and look at that's entry forms are available on the Australian Bush Poets Association website as well. You've got the Lagan Bush Poets, the Lagan Pub, Lagan, New South Wales, the first Wednesday of every month, 7:30. Gosford Bush Poets, 7 p.m. on the last Wednesday of every month at the Gosford Hotel. Now, if you need any more information, I'm going to put the link to the ABPA website so you can get the information from there in the description below. Milton Ulladulla Bush Poets and Yarn Spinners, the first Sunday of every month at the Ex-Servos Club at Ulladulla, 2 p.m. start. Binalong, a brush with poetry at Cafe and on Queen Street, Ballagall Creek, last Sunday of every odd month, except January, 2 to 4 open mic, contact Robin Sykes. Poetry in the Vines, Port Macquarie, fourth Sunday of the month, Douglas Vale Winery. Katoomba Poets in the Pub, second Sunday, 2 p.m. at Blackburn Family Hotel. Singleton Bush Poets met at the Albion Hotel in Singleton on 7 p.m. on the first Tuesday of each month. Wombat Bush Poets, 1:30 p.m. Young Hotel for poetry music, open mic, last Sunday of every month. And here, the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Guyra, Wednesday Words open mic night, 6:30 p.m. every Wednesday, Bradley Street, Guyra. Contact me. Yeah. There's also free camping by the lagoon. Now I'll get on to Queensland and Victoria next, and WA after I read some poetry. Look, this as people keep giving me books, thank you very much. for the Australian Poetry Library and Archive. I find some real crackers and some really fantastic poets that we've got. One of those is a fellow called Steven Herrick, who's an Australian author who's now published over 28 children's books, but also a number of poetry books. And this was, he was born in 1953 and this was published in 1973. I'm pretty sure, no, something like 51, something like that. 1990 actually. Yeah. So I'm only going to read one poem out of this because I don't want to infringe copyright. And so it's for review purposes and educational purposes as it is. And so this was from Five Islands Press, Caboolture it's called, by Steven Herrick. It was published in 1990. And the poem I'm going to read out to you is the Gabba Pool Hall. Now, the Gabba is short for Wollongong in Brisbane. W-O-O-L-L-O-N-G-A-B-B-A, that's how you spell it. But that's irrelevant because they just call it the Gabba. Now, the Gabba Pool Hall does not exist anymore, but there'll be certainly some of our viewers out there who will remember it. Yes. The Gabba Pool Hall was an attic, 2 flights up. Italian men with nicotine fingers and beery breath offered me a 14-year-old jigging school, 20-cent bets on 8-ball. I'd play them and rack up a few dollars. They were too drunk to be any good, except one guy we called Old Juno, who could barely hold the cue. He took forever to walk around the table, but I never beat him. I'd lose every cent gratefully to watch how softly he moved those balls around the felt. He'd sway as he watched every ball drop, gently, inevitably. As we played, he'd ramble about his boarding house and his wife, dead of cancer 10 years past. I'd talk to him about school, and together we'd play pool all afternoon. At the end, he'd buy me smokes and a drink. I'd leave. Sure, I'd learnt more in a game of pool than a whole day in school. So yeah, Steven Herrick, check out his books. This is Caboolture. Steven was, back in 1990, was one of Australia's popular performance poets, and has toured America, England, and also produced spoken word recordings. So this is some of his best stuff here, apparently. But all right, what else have I got for you? Well, Queensland events. A cup of rooibos tea, good for your heart. Check out rooibos, it's a little bit different. Tastes like vanilla, really. Toowoomba Bush Poets meet on the second Saturday of each month in the Toowoomba Library between 10 and midday. North Pine Bush Poets open mic. North Pine, Pine River Men's Shed, Old Petrie Town, the first and third Sundays of most months, 9 to 12, 9 a.m. to 12. Carilpa Poets, last Sunday of the month, 2 to 4:30, Croquet Hall, Cordelia Street, Brisbane. Gbung Writers, 9:30 a.m. every second Wednesday of the month. Bundaberg Poets Society. The second Saturday of the month, Rum City Silver Band Hall. You'll need to contact the organisers to find out the time of that. Bow Desert Bush Bards meet the second Friday of each month from 9:30 at the Bow Desert Arts and Information Centre. Russell Island Riders Circle, the second Thursday of the month, 9:30 at St Peter's Church Hall. Shorncliffe Poets in the Park meet at St Margaret's Church in Sandgate beside the primary every third Tuesday from 5:45 p.m. Townsville. Bush Poetry Mates Inc. Meet monthly at Aitkenvale Library Meeting Room. You'll need to contact Barry for information. Bribey Island Bush Poets, 6:30 p.m, fourth Monday of each month, in the conference room of the Blue Pacific Hotel. Logan Performance Bush Poets meet the second Sunday of every month, 9 to 11 at the Beanley Historical Village. All right. We'll go on to Victoria and WA in a moment. All right. Now, some amongst the unusual books that I come across or get given here for the Australian Poetry Library and Archive, I get a lot of what we call transient stuff that there was only ever a few hundred copies of, perhaps printed, or not even. So pamphlets, that kind of stuff. So it's very important that I've got this poetry archive and library here to preserve this transient poetry for all and future generations of Australians to come and peruse and enjoy and refer to whenever they need to. Now, what have I got here? Here's one. This is called Ideals, Desires and Deceptions by a guy called Brent Newton. And what's interesting about this is, and I'm going to bring the book over, is that it's got this leather binding strap through it. And not only that, is the typing within the book. See how it's old-fashioned typing? Like the print, the font, I should say. So it's rather interesting. Then if we go to the very front of it, published by the Vorpal Gallery. Now, I couldn't even find any mention of the Vorpal Gallery online. 63 Salamanca Place, Hobart, October 1973. This is number 100 of an edition of 250. And then it's signed by Brent Newton. So it's a very, again, as I said, it's transient, and it's really fortunate that something like this can come into the possession and custodianship of myself here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, so that it is preserved for future generations to enjoy. And that said, some of these books, like that one of Steven Herrick, has been sitting on someone's bookcase for a very long time, right? Since 1990 probably, when it was published. But when I got it, even the cover hadn't even been bent. It was like brand new for all intents and purposes. So that's the kind of how often poetry gets bought but not read, unfortunately. So some of those poems in that particular book I very much enjoyed, particularly Caboolture and Cheryl's Having a Baby, which I didn't read to you, but I might one day. All right, now, Ideals, Desires and Deceptions, the name of this book, by Brent Newton. Now, a bit about Brent Newton. He was born on the 10th of April 1949. He attended Burnie High and the University of Tasmania, completing a BA in 1971. So, there you go. That's all we got about him. But I will read some of his poetry for you. Well, we might as well start with the beginning, because it's how it is. Geraldine, I always like to do the first poem. Geraldine. What I lack in inspiration, I make up for in abuse. One moment of happiness in an eternity of sorrow discounts the later. For what is unhappiness but a hollow, a cavity that happiness once fitted? It is not that I have a thing called unhappiness, it's rather that I have not that plumped fullness known as joy. Geraldine. Morning misery, scorched toast crumbs and slimy egg bodies that breakfast may not make, nor utensils dripping oozy orange yolk, or tannin stains on cracked tea or coffee cups. Yet this remains a reminder, gruesome, of our stomach's fill to make it gurgle and spit and rumble like a stubborn engine being primed. For while this mixture is slipping, sliding towards that dark, dank cavern, there is a job devoid from joy, and that is cleaning up morning misery. Next one. 8:30. Marching in ranks, out of step. The sickly morning sun hides their faces. The air is crisp with tension, rank upon rank, marching. A never-ending stream, vomiting from directions unknown, oblivious to one another. Marching to where? Footsteps crash amid roaring, rumbling, screams of indistinguishable sounds, flashing lights of colour, clashing, vivid against stark grey, background to this regimented conformity. Kelly Street. And then arriving home, seeing little things like temple bells and toothpaste and incense made me feel so good, as though someone had dropped by and left these little gems of happiness, little drops of joy, from one so sad, sad in the morning, sad in the twilight of a day, ungay day, bringing gladness, gladness out of sadness, incongruous in that day, strange in its way, such actions do affect us. All right, now I jump forward to page 11, and then one called Adultery, and after that I've got one called One Night, and they seem to complement each other really. Adultery. Temptation caressing my throbbing veins, desire possessing my tingling spine, creates this warmth, this passion. Our bodies mingle within each other. Our beating, pounding breasts kiss. Warm flesh unnoticed. Inhibitions pass like a change of seasons. Imperceptibly, like a burning cigarette. Gone is the cold briskness of society's fathomless incoherence. Achievement of the insatiable makes my drunken mind strive for ways, means, methods. Confused with respect, flattery, love and desire to see these visual images focus into a reality lost to me. Let me succumb, forget it. My vibrating limbs dictate overwhelming passion. I desired to possess you in this embrace. I am not possessed as I would have you. Let me escape from the traps of my own frustration. Can't I seek another way of achievement? Too late. I have passed my strength over, wearied my brain and lost my senses. So now let me lapse into a timeless solemnity, with hammering heartbeat and numbed body. I'll catch up with life later. Adultery, that one's called. The next one's called One Night. 39, 40, 41. At last the door, under which a yellow light is combating the gloom. Upon entering it, I see it, the remnants of the previous night, waist in waist, filled and bulging, forcing its attention on my unwilling eyes. I look through this across to the bed, unmade and littered, almost disemboweled. My eyes to not see that mess. A small girl, curled like a kitten, with her frail body shaking with sorrow. I see she has been here for hours, and the crumpled pillow, which has felt it, knows the sorrow of my little girl, has felt the warm tears from her aching eyes. Her face too is crumpled. My heart has stopped beating, as I know she has died in my absence. Not physically, more painfully an emotional death. I utter my darling and feel nothing but hurt and pain. Wow, eh? Pancakes with Dillon. Dillon and Pancakes. Unlikely in combination, maybe, but not here. What better than the movin', groovin' Dillon combined with 24 fat, floury pancakes, yellow baked, recordings dripping proverbs, my pancakes oozing jam and butter. An interesting combination to remove from a freshly scrubbed navel. Dual satisfaction for one thick head and one fat belly, but to be taken in small doses, for you'll be sorry for one or the other. In other words, if your head don't fall off, your guts will disintegrate. Okay, Ideals and Desires and Deceptions by Brent Newton. That's what his name was, wasn't it? Okay, what's on in regular monthly events? In Victoria, you've got the Kyabram Bush Verse every second Sunday of every even-numbered month at the Kyabram Town Hall, 2 p.m. Gippsland Bush Poets meet monthly 7:30 p.m. on the second Thursday of the month at the RSL Hall in Rosedale. Top of the Murray Bush Poets and Bush Storytellers meet monthly in Corryong for writing workshops monthly on the third Sunday for music and poetry at Maury Foon's Poets Paradise. Bendigo Goldfields Bush Poets, third Sunday of every even-numbered month except December at the Bendigo Club, 22 Park Street, Strathdale, Bendigo. Henry Lawson Memorial and Literary Society meet the third Saturday of each month except January, Ross House, Flinders Lane, Melbourne at 1:30 till 4. All welcome. Mansfield Bush Poets, second Tuesday of the month, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Mansfield Library. In WA, Perth, first Friday monthly, 7 to 9:30, the Auditorium. Albany, the fourth Tuesday monthly. Bunbury, the first Monday of even months at 7 p.m. at the Rose Hotel, Bunbury. Geraldine, the second Tuesday monthly at the Bel Air Caravan Park. Kalgoorlie, the first Wednesday monthly at the Kalgoorlie Country Club. All right, so that's our regular monthly events according to the Australian Bush Poets Association magazine. Okay, now, what else have we got for you tonight? Well, I have got some more poetry for you here in a book called Classic Australian Poems. First one I'm going to read to you is The Ant Explorer by C.J. Dennis. Yes, it's a little kid's one, really, but that's all right. C.J. Dennis, a contemporary of both Henry Lawson and Banjo Patterson. Slightly younger, but still around the same time, but writing more in the city, so. The Ant Explorer. Once a little sugar ant made up his mind to roam, to fare away, far away, far away from home. He had eaten all his breakfast and he had had his ma's consent to see what he should chance to see, and here's the way. He went up and down the fern frond, round and round a stone, down a gloomy gully where he loathed to be alone, up a mighty mountain range, 7 inches high, through the fearful forest grass that nearly hid the sky, out along a bracken bridge bending in the moss, till he reached the dreadful desert that was feet and feet across. 'Twas dry, deserted desert and a trackless land to tread. He wished that he was home again and tucked right up in bed. His little legs were wobbly, his strength was nearly spent, and so he turned around again, and here's the way he went. Back from desert lands, feet and feet across, back along the bracken bridge bending in the moss, through the fearful forest grass shutting out the sky, up a mighty mountain ridge 7 inches high, down a gloomy gully where he loathed to be alone, up and down a fern frond, round and round a stone, a dreary ant, a weary ant, resolved no more to roam. He staggered up the garden path and popped back home. That's from A Book for Kids by C.J. Dennis, The Ant Explorer. Okay, G.M. Smith, also known as Steel Grey, The Days of Cobb and Co. We have telephones and cables and electric telegraph in a minute and a half. Let me begin that again. We have telephones and cables and electric telegraph to flash the news to any point in a minute and a half. To sum it up, what way you will is anything but slow. It seems a vast improvement on the days of Cobb and Co. We have electric trams and cable trams and motor and the bike. You can get about the country now at any speed you like. We have railways to the black back blocks where the iron horses go, and yet the times were better in the days of Cobb and Co. There was enterprise and money and any amount of work. There was wool and fat stocking rolling in from the Mitchell Plains and Burke. There was merchandise and passengers to carry to and fro. There was life to in Australia in the days of Cobb and Co. To travel out 1,000 miles, you'd book yourself in town. They'd guarantee to pull you through when you paid your money down. They travelled then by rough bush tracks through mountains, bog and snow, and deliver you well up into time, would good old Cobb and Co. They had some splendid drivers who could handle horses neat. To see them work their ribbons on that bush tracks, that was a treat. And they'd get a change of coaches every 20 miles or so, and they drove some slashing cattle in the days of Cobb and Co. Oh, our progress has been rapid, but the days are poorer now than the days of Jimmy Tyson, good old Jackie Dow. I remember well the 60s, and the transit then was slow, but give me the golden days, the days of Cobb and Co. All right. And another one, The Lights of Cobb and Co. by Henry Lawson. Fire lighted on the table, a meal for sleepy men, the lantern in the stable, a jingle Now and then, the mail coach looming darkly by light of moon and star, the growl of sleepy voices, a candle in the bar, a stumble in the passage of folk with wits abroad, a swear word from a bedroom, the shout of, "All aboard! Get up! Hold fast there," and down the range we go. 500 miles of scattered camps. We'll watch for Cobb and Co. Old coach towns already, decaying for their sins, uncounted halfway houses and scores of 10-mile inns. The riders from the stations by lonely granite peaks, the black boy for the shepherds on sheep and cattle creeks, the roaring camps of Wollongong and many a digger's rest, the diggers on the Lachlan, the huts of further west. Some 20,000 exiles who sailed for weal or woe, the brave at hearts of 20 lands will wait for Cobb and Co. The morning star has vanished, the frost and fog are gone, in one of those grand mornings which but on mountains dawn. A flask of friendly whisky, each other's hopes we share, and throw our top coats open to drink the mountain air. The roads are rare to travel and life seems all complete. The grind of wheels on gravel, the trot of horses' feet, the trot, trot, trot and canter as down the spur we go. The green sweeps to horizons blue that call for Cobb and Co. We take a bright girl actress through western dust and damps to bear the homeworld message and sing for sinful camps. To wake the hearts and break 'em, wild hearts that hope and ache, are when she thinks those days of her own must nearly break. 5 miles this side the old gold field, a loud triumphant shout. 500 cheering diggers have snatched the horses out. With old Lang Syne in chorus through roaring camps they go, that cheer for her and cheer for home and cheer for Cobb and Co. 3 lamps above the ridges and gorges dark and deeper flash on sandstone cuttings where sheer the sidings sweep. A flash on shrouded wagons on water ghastly white. A weird bush and scattered remnants of rushes in the night. Across the swollen river, a flash beyond the ford. Ride hard to warn the driver he's drunk or mad. Good Lord! But on the bank, to westward a broad, triumphant glow. 300 miles shall see tonight the lights of Cobb and Co. Swift, scramble up the siding where teams climb inch by inch. Pause, bird-like on the summit, then breakneck down the pinch. Past haunted halfway houses where convicts made the bricks, scrub yards and new bark shanties we dash with 5 and 6, by clear ridge country rivers and gaps where tracks run high, where waits the lonely horseman, cut clear against the sky. Through stringy bark and blue gums and box and pine we go. New camps are stretching across the plains, the roots of Cobb and Co. Throw down the reins, old driver, there's no one left to shout. The ruin-inn survivor must take the horses out. A poor old coach hereafter, we're lost to all such things. No bursts of songs or laughter shall shake your leathern springs. When creeping in unnoticed by railway sidings drear, or left in yards for lumber decaying with the year. Oh, who'll think how in those days when distant fields were broad, you raced across the Lachlan side with 25 on board. Not all the ships that sail away since roaring days are done, not all the boats that steam from port, not all the trains that run, shall take such hopes, the loyal hearts, for men shall never know such days as when the Royal Mail was run by Cobb and Co. The greyhounds race across the sea, the special cleaves the haze, but those seem dull and slow compared with bygone roaring days. The eyes that watched are dim with age and souls are weak and slow. The hearts are dust, or hardened now, that broke for Cobb and Co. All right. Well, nearly done for you for the night for this Chillin Tuesday on the 8th of August. Yes, 2023. Yeah. All right, I said I got one more of my own for you here. Cripe, swaddle love, try, constantly you gripe, creating hype, have a snipe, but you just wipe, unripe and swipe, the time is ripe to have a pipe. And that's not the one I was going to do though. Here we go. The Ballad of Outback Jim. Here we go. So put on my Outback voice. In the heart of the sunburnt land where the red dust danced upon the sand, lived a man of true blue grit. A legend born, Outback Jim was it. With his hat upon his head, he roamed the land both far and wide. From coast to plains, a bushman true, in every step a dream pursued. His father's tales around the fire of pioneers and bushmen's desire ignited in young Jim's bold heart a thirst for life, a world to chart. He learned to track and read the skies, a master of the outback's eyes. He treaded softly, left no trace, respected nature's sacred grace. In times of drought, when hope ran dry, Jim saw the creature's tearful eyes. He heard the land's deep silent plea and vowed to set the outback free. A map he found, an ancient tale of water's source, a holy grail. The land's salvation it foretold, a secret spring of liquid gold. He braved the storms and searing heat, with every step his heart did beat. Through sun-baked plains and desert wild, he journeyed like a daring child. He met the tribes, the old and wise. They taught him truths beyond the skies. Their ancient knowledge he embraced, a bond with land and culture laced. Finally, he found the prize, the sacred oasis met his eyes. With canteen full he hurried back to mend the land that felt the lack. He poured the water on the earth and witnessed nature's wondrous birth. The land transformed, a vibrant hue. As life returned, the skies turned blue. News of Jim's brave quest spread wide. His deeds became the nation's pride, a legend born forever told in banjo's ballads, strong and bold. With every campfire's gentle glow, the tale of Jim would ebb and flow, a symbol of the outback might, a beacon in the starry night. So raise a toast to Outback Jim, a bushman bold, a hero's hymn. In every heart his legend stays, a spirit free in bushland's ways. Yeah. And buy an Australian Poetry Hall of Fame cup. You can get them on our website too, you know. Australian Poetry Hall of Fame.com.au has a range of Australian Poetry Hall of Fame merchandise which support the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, of course. T-shirts, cups, you name it, it's there. Plus, there's also a website, meanwhileinaustralia.com, and there you can get your range of Aussie paraphernalia, Aussie t-shirts and stuff, Aussie Father's Day shirts too, so you check that out, meanwhileinaustralia.com, go to the store and check it out, and I'll put the link in the description of this. Alright, well I'm Thundercloud. Don't forget I've also got 4 books all available on Amazon. Jan Bung's Peaceful Protest in Nimbin, Love in Nimbin, Lust in Nimbin, and Poetry to End Prohibition. Yes, that's it. All right, well, I'm out of here. Thank you very much for joining me on this Tuesday. Many apologies once again for not letting you know there was no Chillin Tuesday last week, but that's all right. We were at another poetry gig anyway. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday here on YouTube from the Seahorse Medicine Cafe at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Guyra, getting ready for the New South Wales Bush Poets Championship, the performance and the written in November. All right, and next week, yes, the Guyra heat of the Australian Poetry Slam on Wednesday night. So yeah, there will not be a Chillin Tuesday next week, and there will not be a Wednesday Words next week, but this week there is. Next week, we got the Poets Workshop and the Poetry Slam. All right, I'm Thundercloud, wash away the garbage, live rainbows after rains. Hey, give this video a thumbs up now. Do it, 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 and I'll read you another poem. Do it. Have you done it? Good, good, good. One more poem. Okay, you get another poem. All right, it's one that I wrote called Stone. Stone sat in the sun, wind and rain, silently contemplating why it felt no pain. Wondered why it was grey, not pink. Then thought, I have no brain and can't think. I'm here in the frost, the heat and the snow. I'm a stone, I don't eat shit or grow. There's grass all about, birds and bees. I'm a stone in a paddock and I don't get fleas. One day I might move and go for a roll, but for now I'm sitting stuck in a hole. But if I had ears, I might like rock music, but I don't. And think life's confusing. If you have choices, you must decide, but I don't, as I'm a stone on a mountainside. Don't care about up, left, right or down. I have no eyes, no ears, and I can't see around. I'm androgenic, sexless. I've no pussy nor cock. I'm a stone, and I can't make a little baby rock. All right, that's it. Really it for the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Chillin Tuesday. I'm Thundercloud. We'll see you tomorrow night here for Wednesday Words from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Come on over. We'll see you later. Bye.